the Toronto Raptors roster mostly taking shape heading into this upcoming season, Darko Rajaković had some comments on his philosophy heading into this year and how there are going to be some major changes coming at the point guard position, as well as Jakob Poeltl shifting to more of a Marc Gasol-esque role. So lots of stuff to break down in this video. Before we jump into that, we have a very exciting announcement. This video is brought to you by Rentals.ca. Rentals.ca is Canada's largest apartment hunting network. You can rent apartments, houses, condos, whatever it is. Rentals.ca has you covered from coast to coast, all across the country. Toronto, Calgary, Montreal, Vancouver, Ottawa, Winnipeg, Halifax. Rentals.ca's website's clean, it's extremely easy to use. You can pinpoint the exact location on the map where you're looking to rent and find the perfect rental destination. And on top of it, they're also giving back to you guys. As if you check the pinned comment of this video or the description, you can find a contest and a chance to win a month's free rent. That's right. Their contest, it all ends on October 2nd, so make sure you sign up right now for the chance to win up to $2,500. Just be 18 years or older, be outside the residence of Quebec, and you have a chance to win a month's free rent. So shout out to Rentals.ca for supporting the channel, as well as supporting you guys with this giveaway. But let's dive into the news. So basically, Darko Rajaković went on a podcast with a 13-year-old kid that really did a good job. Shout out to Jake's Takes. I'll link his comment or his channel in the description below as well. But basically, he has some really good questions and got some good talking points out of Darko Rajaković. And the first one is some major changes coming at the point guard position. Now, we heard a lot of stuff. We heard a lot of sort of takes over this offseason about what the heck is going to happen at the PG spot, because we lost Fred VanVleet. Last year, the guard depth was a serious issue for the Toronto Raptors, as Jeff Dowtin Jr. was a two-way piece, so Nick Nurse couldn't really play him for most of the second half of the season. Malachi Flynn couldn't find his way out of the doghouse. Marquise Noel, yeah, that was last season. Marquise Noel is now coming in as a potential option back there on a two-way spot. But basically, now with Fred VanVleet gone, Dennis Schroder coming in, there's going to be some question marks about the Raptors' route. Now, this could have been solved, or these questions could have been answered if the Raptors ended up acquiring Damian Lillard, as the philosophy essentially would have been give the ball to Dame and sort of work around his sort of offensive nuclear force that he has knocking down threes. Unfortunately, or I guess fortunately for some Raptors fans, the Raptors couldn't get a deal done for Damian Lillard, and now we still have a very questionable sort of depth chart at that guard position. And basically, Darko Rajaković came out and said this directly, that I see a very high ceiling, or well, talked about, essentially, to give this quote some context, Scottie Barnes playing with the ball in his hands more often, and him potentially taking a serious leap going into next season. That sort of leads us in a quote, essentially saying that he sees a very high ceiling for his game. Definitely, he's going to play much more on the ball. He's going to be a decision maker. He's going to be trying to organize our team, run our team even more than in the past. So basically, we knew the ball was going in Scottie Barnes' hands more. That was something that we've heard. That's something we understood. However, the other stuff to this quote makes it a little bit more intriguing, because essentially, if you're describing a point guard, Darko hasn't came out and said directly that Scottie Barnes is going to be the de facto point guard for this team, but when you describe things like decision maker, when you use words like the guy that's going to organize our team and run our team even more in the past, that's essentially the role of a point guard. And Scottie Barnes is a piece that has played forward for the Toronto Raptors in recent years. Again, he wasn't really a focal point in the offense for his first two seasons under Nick Nurse, with this, I guess, a similar roster sort of around him now at this point. But it feels like Darko Rajaković is ready to unlock Scottie Barnes and put him at the position he came into the league hoping to play, being a point guard for this Raptors team. And currently, as I sort of discussed, the Raptors have that hole at the point guard spot, and Scottie Barnes, if he can handle the ball, protect the ball, and effectively facilitate for this team, because at times when the offense was run through Scottie Barnes, again, he had some amazing games for the Raptors with the ball in his hands. I don't want to say he's been bad at that sort of position when he's been given opportunities. However, there have been some moments where he does tend to rush, where he does tend to sort of, as a lot of young guards sort of do, the game is a little bit too fast for them to be the main decision makers, the main facilitator for your team. And Scottie Barnes has struggled in those areas at times, creating, dribbling into traffic, especially late in games, as the sort of guy that's supposed to calm everyone down and facilitate for the squad. So I'm excited to see Scottie Barnes, as his passing, his IQ, his vision is on another level. And he has the height, he has the athleticism, and he has that sort of just ability to see over defenders as he drives into the lane and make those gorgeous dimes. him at the point guard position could absolutely unlock this team. So we'll see what ends up happening. It could be what Ben Simmons was supposed to be or was hoping to go back to being, a multi-time All-Star, that type of thing. So we'll see if that's the right role for Scottie Barnes, and I'm excited to see him probably be the guy that's organizing the team and making some decisions. But the next thing we're taking a look at is essentially his quotes regarding Jakob Poeltl and playing more of a Marc Gasol-esque role. Now, Poeltl is a piece that really excited me last season. No, are we going to see him space the floor like Marc Gasol? That's not going to be the case. He's not a three-point shooter. He's not a floor spacer, so don't get that into your head. But he is a guy that in that mid-post area, I thought for especially the first 2 to 3 weeks when the Raptors acquired Jakob Poeltl, Nurse was using him the right way, putting him in that mid-post area, that high sort of slot, and then having players cut off him. The same way that we saw Marc Gasol win us an NBA championship. Heck, even Serge Ibaka was doing it as well, right? In that sort of high post area, they give him the ball, let him square up, and he's a really good passer. Poeltl, similar to Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka is really good at hitting cutters. We see his vision. He's a very high IQ big man, and then as the season went along, our offense sort of reverted to something that was less of, swing the ball, get it to the high post, get it inside out, kick cuts and all that type of stuff, to more, Fred VanVleet running some, solo actions, Pascal Siakam solo actions, and Pascal definitely has improved as a passer. I don't want to say that, but, he is more of a score-first sort of option, a score-first player, and our offense got more stagnant, whereas I thought we were more free-flowing. It was more fluid when the ball at least got some touches to Jakob Poeltl. And this is where Darko Rajaković ended up making some comments saying that we will be running our offense through Jakob a lot. He's a great passer. He makes everyone around him better. So I'm extremely excited to see Darko Rajaković essentially make these comments that we can run the offense through Jakob Poeltl, because if that's a focal point for this Raptors team, especially given the fact this team doesn't have a lot of shooting. I mean, we talked about the guard rotation. If we're running a lineup with Dennis Schroder, Scottie Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl out there on the court, that's three guys. Scottie and Dennis Schroder can hit the three. They're not just horrific three-point shooters, but that's three guys that are below league average, and Poeltl, a guy that will never shoot it, right? At least unless he's taken some improvements along those lines, but three guys that definitely aren't going to be floor spacers, and heck, even Pascal Siakam, for that case, isn't known to be a three-point shooter. So having a guy like Poeltl, who's definitely your worst three-point shooter on the team, or a guy that hasn't taken it, maybe he just doesn't take him and he's a knocked out three, but as a guy that can have the ball in his hands and let players cut off him, it allows the play to sort of space out a lot more. So definitely something exciting and something we'll have to do if this team is sort of going to make sense going into the season. And the final thing they sort of discussed is high praise for Dennis Schroder. Now, we all knew when Dennis Schroder came in, all the comments and him talking about Darko Rajaković and his presser, right? They have a very tight relationship, and he had some very high praise for Dennis Schroder as well during this interview, coming out and saying that Dennis is a straight up a front and honest guy. Amazing, fearless competitor, and I have the utmost respect for him. I'm really happy he's going to be on our team, and we've talked about the trust that he sort of has in Dennis Schroder, which is going to be nice, because whether Dennis Schroder is going to be starting for this squad or coming off the bench, it's nice to have a guy that's your de facto point guard. Again, we talked about Scottie Barnes potentially being that starting point guard role, being a lead decision maker, being these types of things, but the fact he has a tight relationship with Dennis Schroder, right? Him and Darko are sort of close, regardless of he's starting coming off the bench. Their relationship is huge. You want your point guard to sort of respect the coach, them to be tight, and hold people accountable and all that. Again, we've had a point guard that in the past maybe hasn't been held accountable enough, but I digress on that point. But again, it's great to see your PG as well as your coach have a tight relationship. But folks, you guys are the best to make it this far. Shout out to Darko Rajaković for hopefully changing this Toronto Raptors team coming into the season. Check out subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. And check out this video regarding the potential Drew Holiday trade if you want to watch some more Raptors Digest content. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.